Hello and welcome back to the Second Chance to Live channel here on YouTube. I'm happy to see that you decided to stop by to watch this video presentation. Thank you. In today's video presentation, I'm going to be sharing an article that has been the foundation for Second Chance to Live. This article was written approximately a year before I created Second Chance to Live. Everything that I write on Second Chance to Live and I create through my YouTube video presentations here, or my video presentations for YouTube, is done from the power of identification. I'd like to share the article with you at this time. To do so, I'll put my glasses back on my face and bring up the article. As you listen to the article being read and questions come to mind, please send those questions to me. All questions are good questions. In the event that you'd like to leave a comment, do so. I would love to hear from you. You may do so through the contact information page on Second Chance to Live at secondchancetolive.org or through the comment section here on YouTube. I'll read the article at this time. The power of identification. Through my process and in my experience, I have discovered an undeniable truth. There is power in identification. Although living with brain injuries, invisible disabilities, other disabilities, or adversity in general can leave you and I feeling alone and isolated, the good news is that we no longer have to remain alone or isolated. We can reach out to one another. We can find comfort, courage, and hope through the power of identification. By reaching out to and identifying with my fellows, I find the comfort, courage, and hope to explore beyond my feelings of being isolated and alone. By reaching out and identifying with my fellows, I find the ability to move beyond my struggle to accept myself. By reaching out and identifying with my fellows, I find the ability to trust the process of loving God and myself. Several years ago, I wrote an article to share what I've learned about the power of identification. Because I have experienced comfort, courage, and hope through the power of identification, I share very personal information in the articles that I write for Second Chance to Live. My motivation in sharing this information is that as you read my articles, you will no longer feel alone or isolated. My hope is that as you read the articles from Second Chance to Live, you will experience the power of identification. My hope is that you will be given the comfort, courage, and hope to explore beyond your feelings of being isolated and alone. My hope is that as you read articles from Second Chance to Live, you will be able to move beyond your struggle to accept yourself. Here's the article, The Power of Identification. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you decided to stop by and rest. You are a gift to me. I am fired up about a particular topic today. I've been fired up about this particular topic for most of my life. As a person with a disability, I never quite felt like I was enough or that I measured up. I never quite understood why I did not measure up until I began to understand the insidious nature of comparison. For too long, I measured my worth by the status quo. I allowed the measuring stick of other people's approval, validation, and acceptance to dictate how and what I thought about myself. When I started treating myself with dignity and respect, I began having spiritual awakenings. One of these awakenings revealed that having a disability challenged the status quo. Although I sought to measure up to the expectations of other people, I found myself consistently falling short in my efforts. Living with a brain injury and my invisible disability left me clueless in my attempts to compensate for my real yet unknown deficits and limitations. In the process of my attempting to overcompensate, I lost sight of who I was as a person. In the process, I became a human doing rather than learning to be in life. Doing instead of being became more important as I sought to prove my standing among the status quo. Even as I attempted to overcompensate through overachieving, I had no idea how my brain injury and invisible disability intrinsically impacted my world. What made matters worse was that I sought to defend the notion that my brain injury, invisible disability, deficits, and limitations had nothing to do with my inability to meet expectations. In the course of defending my denial, I found that I was denying who I was as an individual. In the course of maintaining and defending both my denial and the denial of family members and friends, I grew weary in my attempts to prove that I was not an individual living with a brain injury and invisible disability with real deficits and limitations. In my weariness, I reached a point in life when I could no longer deny my reality. When I reached this place of despair, in which I could no longer deny my reality, I discovered a series of cause, effects, and contrasts. I will share some of what I have learned through examining those cause, effects, and contrasts. This list is not exhaustive and can be expanded. As you read my contrasts, get a pen and paper out and determine what other contrasts you can add to my list. In the process of reading my cause, effects, and contrasts, and then developing your own list, you may find that you too have been berating yourself for no good reason. And here's the contrast. Identification as opposed to comparison. Identification empowers, whereas comparison minimizes contribution. Comparison asserts stipulations to inclusion. Comparison mandates that certain criteria be met. Comparison predicates acceptance. Comparison demands compliance. Comparison postulates performance. Comparison shuns that which is different. Identification encourages progress, while comparison specifies and expects outcomes. Identification celebrates small successes, whereas comparison, by its nature, seeks to invalidate. Identification encourages individuality and motivates self-expression. Identification cultivates creativity. Individuality is not considered a threat. Status quo is dismissed. Identification empowers and motivates. Identification musters enthusiasm in the face of any discouragement. Identification breaks down the walls of isolation and alienation, for that matter. Alienation is dismissed. Eccentricity is held in esteem. Self-respect, self-esteem, and self-worth no longer need to be qualified. Value and ability is accepted at face value. Identification seeks to reconcile. Identification promotes humility. As I seek to identify with others, I practice love and acceptance. Identification frees my humanity to explore apart from comparison's dictates. Identification encourages individual expression. Identification encourages hope, whereas comparison predicates performance. Identification encourages process. Identification promotes self-confidence. Progress is accepted as a function of seeking to accept both others and oneself. As I love and accept myself, I am free to create with my being. My being and worth is not tied to a specific toy or outcome. I no longer need to keep up with the Joneses. I no longer need to chase after external validation. Identifying with others dispels my need to judge. Identification gives me permission to take risks and to scrape my knees in the process. Identification promotes excellence, not perfection. Identification frees me to stay in the moment, to live life on life's terms. Identification promotes unity. I'm interested in knowing what other contrasts you may have discovered through listening to this list of contrasts that I wrote in this article. Please send those to me. I'd love to hear your contrasts. This is the end of the video presentation of this article. I want to thank you for being here. I look forward to hearing from you. I'll say so long for now, but before I do, let me encourage you with this, my friend, as I need to encourage myself. Please don't give up on yourself, a loving God, or your process, because more will be revealed in time. The pieces of the puzzle will come together, in the correct order and at the right time. So keep on doing what you're doing and trust the process. More will be revealed to us. Pursue your bliss. Pursue your destiny. Seek to find your dreams, to follow your dreams. I'll say so long for now. I look forward to our times together in the future. Have a great day, and God bless both you and your family. Thank you again for your time. So long now.